I remember that when Adam was playing with us, we were taking a break. I was going out and doing some Blink stuff, and it was creating a situation where it was hard for the other guys to kind of wait around for when I would get back and when we can kind of keep things with a consistent workflow. It was kind of a difficult time. So it made a lot more sense for Adam to go and do other things, and don't worry, there's no huge story there. We're still good friends to this day, but Adam wanted to be touring and working full time, and it's always been hard because I'm jumping back and forth. So at that moment I was thinking, well, you know, we obviously have to get someone that can play drums, but I would love to have somebody that can add a lot more than just that. So a bunch of names were being tossed around. I talked to quite a few different people, but my friend Jimmy, that a lot of people know of, that's always kind of hanging around the peripheral of a lot of things I do, mentioned it. He said, you know, you should really talk to Ilan. And I was like, well, who's that? And he's all, you know Ilan, he's from San Diego and he's playing with Trent and all this. I was like, oh, that's right, you know. So I went and looked on the videos. I was like, God, he's fucking handsome. And so handsome. I had most of the stuff on mute, you know, because I was just like really taken back. I was like, it was beautiful. It was like, and then I unmuted it and I was, oh, okay, he can play instruments too. And then but I heard, it wasn't so much the drumming, because I knew, I was, okay, this guy is obviously a sick drummer, but it was when I saw him playing piano, and I was like, that's rad. You know, he's got the ability to bring, you know, musical knowledge to what we're doing. And it was at a time where I really wanted to change up the music. And then how did I reach out to you?
This was, yeah, you probably got my number from Jimmy, and we got in touch. But as you were saying, you were on a Blink tour with My Chemical Romance. That's what I remember.
Okay.
Whenever that was.
Yeah.
About 3 years ago or more. So I had actually met with David and Matt at the time, because Tom was on tour, but the San Diego show was coming up. So I had come up here to hang out with Matt and David. I had known David actually from other places, I forgot where, but so it's good to see them and kind of get a feel for the working environment and what the near future plans were. But then when the tour cycled around to San Diego, I went to the show and we hung out there, and it was very quick, because I think that was pretty close to the end of the tour, and I recall a week or two later we kind of talked about everything, and then we took the first batch of press photos and then just
jumped into it
from there.
Jumped into it and got it done.
The writing didn't start, see, at that point the Love 1 and 2 albums were coming out, so there was a bunch of press that was going to take place for that release, and a little bit of touring. We did some, like, 4 smaller West Coast shows, and then we went over to Europe to do Reading and Leeds and a couple other things. But after those touring commitments were followed through, we just inevitably came back to San Diego and just started working on material, not necessarily with the intent of writing an album, just to see how it went. And as the ideas were piling up, we thought, okay, let's get this together and see when we can feasibly put an album out. And 2 years later, there you have it.
He's still handsome. The writing of the music was very collaborative. We would pass things back and forth, and we would debate and argue and try to decipher each other's kind of thought process. It took a good year for us to learn each other's ear, you know, and try and see what moves us independently. A lot of the instruments are Ilan. He's good at many instruments, and it left me the ability to really focus on kind of obviously lyrical and doing all the vocals on the record. Not all of them actually, because Ilan did the harmonies, but it freed up a lot of thinking. I was way more into Ilan playing instruments than myself, because I played all the instruments on the other records, at least the majority of them, and anything that Ilan could do felt new and fresh to me. I didn't want to pick up, you know, the instruments and and kind of repeat myself over and over again like I tend to do sometimes. So it was I embraced the idea of him playing a lot of the stuff, and it worked out really well. And but you know, as for learning what I like, and it wasn't my direction, by the way. I know the question is asking how did Ilan do my direction. I think Ilan naturally, you know, wants me to like the stuff or to see what I'm feeling, but it was very collaborative between the three of us in the studio. His brother Aaron produced the record with us, and something kind of had to pass the ear of all three of us. But
yeah, I think the initial origin of the idea would come from Tom, because really the most important thing of a song is a melody and the course that takes throughout the structure of the song. So the writer has to be inspired to come up with that most important thing. So Tom would come with an idea, and that would be the very basic seed that would grow into the song. But then from that, we'd come up with a pre-chorus into the chorus, and then kind of just, like you said, pass it back and forth until the song was completed. And once his vocals were down, then the next element of harmonies would come in, and we'd kind of keep adding on to see what that would do to the song. But it's interesting how the same idea can feel so different when you throw on two different sets of ideas. They can really take different courses, I think. And the only song I recall bringing to the table initially, musically, was Tunnels, but it ended up being something way different. If you recall, it was a really folky...
Which was a great riff too, which still should be gonna make its way into a song.
It was a really folky idea, and then Tom did his thing to it, and it ended up being way different.
The song was called Folky.
Yeah.
That was the name of, you know, you always save songs with a title just so you remember it.
Working title.
A working title, and it was very different than what it was now.
Yeah, but very, very collaborative effort, regardless of who brought the idea to the table. It was literally going between two people's tastes and then meeting somewhere else where we both agreed, okay, this is good. And
well, I think people are like super interested in this because they're like, okay, it sounds so different. Tom, how the fuck are you a part of something? It's because the working relationship between the both of us, it's not like I did the majority of the work here that people are used to. It's quite contrary. I was able to get more in the background and bring in a fresh approach, and it's not, you know, this is something that is very, very, it was done because we both had to figure out what we both like together. One of the things I think we're both really proud of is that this is something we would not have done on our own. It's something that I couldn't have done on my own, and that's what I like about it most. It's a real, you know, it's a real, I keep saying it's a real negotiation between two different points of view, and that's what's really special about this record.